All right, welcome. Have you ever stopped to think about the world that exists completely beyond our sight? Today, we're going to shrink way, way down to explore a hidden universe that's all around us and even inside of us. We are diving deep into the incredible, invisible world of microscopic life. Now, just so you know, this is part 16 of our big 20-part biology series from Virtualization Options LLC. And today, we're focusing on the absolute smallest, but you could argue the most powerful players in the entire game of life. Okay, let's kick things off with a question that's, well, it's a little mind-bending. What if I were to tell you that you are only about half human? Yeah, I know. It sounds like something out of a sci-fi movie, right? But it's true. If you were to just count up all the cells that make up your body, about half of them aren't actually your cells. They're bacteria. And believe me, that is just the tip of the iceberg. So who are these tiny tenants, this invisible other half? Well, let's meet the main characters in this microscopic drama. We've got bacteria, archaea, and the very mysterious viruses. So this chart gives us a real quick and dirty breakdown. You can see bacteria and archaea are kind of similar in a few ways, right? They're both made of cells, but neither has a nucleus. But then you look over at viruses, and they're the total oddball. They aren't even made of cells, and they can't reproduce by themselves. That last part is super important, so hang on to that thought. All right, let's dive in, starting with the two great domains of microscopic life. First up, the ones we've all heard of, bacteria, and their more mysterious cousins, the archaea. You know, when we hear the word bacteria, our brains usually jump to germs, sickness, wash your hands. But honestly, that's a huge misconception. The vast majority are totally harmless, and so many of them are absolutely vital. For example, the bacteria in your gut aren't just helping you digest your lunch. They're actually manufacturing vitamins that your own body can't even make. They aren't just passengers, they're essential partners. This classic tree of life diagram really shows us where everyone fits. You can see bacteria have their own massive branch over here. It's totally separate from our domain, eukarya. That's us, along with plants, animals, fungi, all that stuff. But what about that third big branch? Well, that brings us to the archaea. And to really get what makes them so incredible, you need to know this one word, extremophile. It's pretty much what it sounds like. It's an organism that doesn't just survive extreme conditions, it thrives in them. We're talking about environments that would kill almost anything else on this planet in an instant. So, say hello to the archaea, life's ultimate survivors. They might look like bacteria under a microscope, but don't be fooled. They are a completely different kind of life. These things are the absolute masters of the extreme. I mean, just try to picture it. Life flourishing in boiling volcanic hot springs, or in lakes that are so salty they'd pickle any other living thing. That's the world of the archaea, and they are constantly redefining what we thought was even possible for life. Okay, now for our third group. And this is the one that really messes with your head. The one that blurs all the lines. Let's talk about viruses. They represent this fascinating biological puzzle that forces us to ask a really big question. What does life even mean? And that leads us to the central question, one that has stumped biologists for a century. Are viruses actually alive? The answer is complicated. See, if you have a standard biological checklist for what makes something alive, viruses just fail spectacularly. They aren't made of cells. They don't use energy. And critically, they can't reproduce on their own. They're kind of like these little biological ghosts. So how do they multiply? Through a hostile takeover. A virus is basically just a tiny package of genetic code, some DNA or RNA, wrapped up in a little protein shell. It's completely inert on its own, but when it finds and invades a host cell, it injects its code and hijacks the cell's own factory, forcing it to stop everything it's doing and just start making thousands of copies of the virus. This is where we get to that fascinating gray area. See, most biologists will say, nope, by the strict definition, they're not alive. But, and this is a huge but, they evolve. They adapt through natural selection just like we do. And that one fact alone places them in this bizarre, unique category all on their own. So, they might not be alive in the traditional sense, but their impact is absolutely undeniable. The sheer scale of the viral world is something we can barely wrap our heads around. Just look at this number. Take a second to let it sink in. That is a 10 followed by 30 zeros. That's 10 nonjillion. That is the estimated number of individual viruses on Earth. To try and put that into perspective, there are more viruses on our planet than there are stars in the entire known universe. In fact, they outnumber all other living things combined. So we're left with a final, fascinating question. If something isn't technically alive, but it can evolve and it can shape everything that is, then what does life truly mean? It's a question that just shows how much we still have to learn about the incredible, invisible world all around us.